the first thing you're going to do is just take a thin Sharpie. Okay, make a squiggly line. Make another squiggly line. You can do that, right? Then what you're going to do is somewhere on your tube that you just made, you're going to create an eye. See how that kind of looks like an eye? Like as an I, not the letter I, okay? So this line's curving up, this line's curving down. This is that bubble that we were kind of talking about. Then all your other lines above are going to curve up, and they can change. They don't have to be the same width. Play around with that a little bit. So you're kind of creating stripes. You know what this reminds me of? Dr. Seuss. And all of these lines below are curving down. Okay. Do you have any questions about how to make your worm? Cool. All right. Next step. You need colored pencils. And when we look at the color wheel, we know we've got several colors to choose from. And let's say that I want to work with reds or pinks. I can blend these colors together because they're next to each other on the color wheel. So rule of thumb, if you want to blend colors together, they need to be next to each other on the color wheel, okay? Because if you blend colors that are not next to each other, let's say purple and yellow for instance, those are complementary colors. They complement each other separately. When you put them together, does anyone know what they make? Brown. Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and take a pinkish red here. Okay. What color can I blend with this? I have two choices. Jesse? Purple or? Paris? Red. I have red. So purple or, what's on the other, Riley? Orange. Okay. Now, Paris, could I have chosen a different kind of red to go with this? Sure, because it's the same color, just a different hue. Okay, so I'd be fine. I want a dark, a medium, and a light. So I want 3 pencils. Dark, medium, light. So I'm going to go orange. So here's my dark. Here's my medium, and then I actually think I want to use a yellow for my light, a yellowish color. Why can I do that? Why am I able to do that? Ruby? You got it. It's next to orange on the color wheel. So I have my 3 colors. Before I start, I'm just going to test them out and make sure that they are what I want them to be. Okay. And I feel like I barely see the yellow. I'm not crazy about that. So I think what I'm going to do instead, this is why it's important to test it out, is I'm going to replace my yellow with my medium color that I have chosen, and then I'm going to choose a darker orange. So here's my new color combo. And I'm much happier with that. Okay. I like that better. I also think it's going to be easier to blend because I don't have a huge value jump from light to dark here. Here I have a really pretty big value jump, right? So harder to blend. It'll still work, it just takes a little bit more finesse, adjusting, tweaking. Okay, so when you blend with colored pencils, I know we probably talked about this a lot last year. Do you hold the pencil straight up and down by the tip? Who knows how to hold the color pencil? Yeah.
By its side.
By its side, closer to the back. If you hold it up here, your natural thing to do is to push hard. That's just what your body's going to do. If you hold it back here, your body can't push hard. It's just not really that possible. So I'm going to hold it here. I'm going to use the side of my pencil, and I'm going to make small, very light, overlapping. I like to use ovals just because I think they move better than going back and forth. And am I getting really dark right now? No, I'm not. And do you see how I'm going to let up on that pressure a little bit so I'm barely touching the paper? I kind of call it feathering. I kind of feather it out. Okay, so there's my dark value. I'm going to do that on both sides. Again, overlap, light pressure. As you get closer to the middle, go ahead and feather that out, which means you're barely touching the paper, just a little bit of color. Okay, and then you might say, oh, I really want it darker. Cool, we're gonna layer to create darkness. We're not gonna use pressure to create darkness, because once it's dark, it cannot get any lighter. Okay, you can always go darker, you can't go lighter. So my technique is the same. As I get closer to the middle, I'm kind of feathering that out. The other thing that I want you to be aware of is that colored pencils are made out of, yes, wax. So paper can only hold so much wax. It just cannot hold any more than it's capable of. So if you push really, really, really hard and you build up this waxy surface here, no matter what you do, you're not blending. You can see it looks like that orange didn't even touch that red. Okay, so if you do waxy buildup, you're never gonna blend, you're gonna get colors sitting next to each other. And that's not our goal. Our goal is to blend, okay? So I'm gonna come in with my medium color now, and I'm gonna go over my dark color to kind of deepen that up a little bit. Again, I'm using the side of my pencil. Light pressure, I'm not pushing hard at all, I don't need to. I'm gonna build to create dark, not push. As I get closer to the middle, I'm gonna feather it out, which means my pencil's barely touching the paper. And the same thing on this side. Overlapping little ovals here. Okay, I'm going to feather it out toward the middle, and I still might want some more color. That's fine. Go back and layer in. Is this a fast process? No. But I promise you it will pay off in the end. You're going to get the effect that you want. And I'm getting really close to the middle, but I'm not in the middle. I want to kind of leave that open. Okay. Now, I could leave it like this and I'm getting that sense of curve, right? But I just want to brighten it up a little bit, so I'm going to take my lighter color, overlapping circles. I'm going over everything. I might not go over my red with my lightest color, only because I want my red to be pretty dark. And if I put a waxy coat of white over it, or light color over it, it's not going to read as dark. And I'm just going to feather that. I'm barely touching the paper. I'm just using this to blend everything together. Okay. And I might go, yeah, I want more dark. Go back in. Make it darker. Okay. So play around with it a little bit. If you're super brave, this is only for brave, you can use black as a shadow. Now be super careful with this, because black can do the opposite of what you want it to do. It can flatten your image if you're not careful with it. So you don't want to create a big waxy black section. What you want to do, same thing, side of the pencil, you're going to barely, 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 barely touch that edge. I'm like whispering it in. It's like barely touching. All my black is doing is creating a shade on that red. I don't have a big black spot there, okay? I am just shading just a little bit to make these ends recede. They're going back a little bit more. Do you kind of see the effect that that made? Okay. Now, is this something that you're going to be really good at right away? Nope. That's why you're going to practice for a few days, and you can go back over with the red. Okay. All right, until you get that movement and that form that you really want. So light, medium, and dark next to each other on the color wheel, or different versions of the same color, right? Okay. Any questions about this? If you want, before you get to your worm, you can always start blending on your paper and just kind of play with making a value scale, just a little one. So practice, practice. This is not your project. I just want to make that very clear. This is your practice. So now is the time to make all your mistakes. Now is the time to experiment with different color combinations. Go crazy. Try something, okay? Not going to hurt anything. This should be covered in all different kinds of practice and color combinations, okay? Any questions? Okay. Oh, sharp pencils. You can use the sharpeners. I have one on the wall over by the sink there, one on the wall over in the corner, and I have the 2 electric ones that are plugged in. You're welcome to use those for colored pencils. However, if it's not sharpening, you need to tell me, because that means that the wax of the pencil broke off in the sharpener and I need to fix it. So don't just leave it, okay? All right, have fun.